Okay, so I'm navigating a situation right now that feels incredibly complex, and honestly, I'm in a bit of a bind. I'm 29 years old, and I've been dating my boyfriend, who's 26, for about 7 months now. For the most part, things are really good between us. We connect on a lot of levels, share similar values and interests, and when challenges or disagreements pop up, we've generally been able to talk through them without major drama or conflict. Our relationship is built on a solid foundation of love, respect, and genuine care for each other. Because of that, this particular issue feels especially difficult to tackle. It doesn't stem from a lack of feeling, but from a pretty significant difference in how we experience and express intimacy, both sexually and just in our everyday shared space. The core of what I'm dealing with really comes down to two main things: a pretty vast mismatch in our sex drives, and a surprising amount of pressure and feeling saturated by his physical presence and constant need for closeness. Let's start with the sex part. My boyfriend is pretty open about his past struggles with addiction, and he's acknowledged that he still deals with certain addictive tendencies in different areas of his life. He's even told me that he thinks these tendencies play a role in his wanting sex all the time. And when I say all the time, I really mean it. It feels relentless. Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy sex. I really do. It's an important part of a healthy relationship and a wonderful way to connect deeply with someone you love. For me, personally, I'm perfectly happy with having sex maybe once or twice a week. When we do, I like for it to be a meaningful experience, taking our time, really focusing on connecting emotionally and physically, making it feel special and intimate. Like a lot of couples at the beginning of a relationship, we had that initial honeymoon phase where the excitement and physical chemistry are off the charts, and you have those days where you just see how many times you can be together. That's totally normal and fun early on. The thing is, for us, that phase, it just never really settled down. It feels like the how many times can we do it in a day game is still running nonstop, 7 months in. I honestly believe, and I'm not exaggerating here, that if I had the physical stamina and the mental bandwidth to keep up, he would happily have sex 5, 10, maybe even 20 times a day. We've actually had sex 5 times in a single day on multiple occasions, and frankly, after the first couple of times on those days, I'm just completely drained, physically and mentally. I find myself just going through the motions, sometimes focusing solely on trying to help him reach orgasm or just get it over with, because I am genuinely done for the week, maybe even the month, after that kind of marathon. It stops feeling like mutual pleasure and connection and starts feeling like a physical task. I enjoy sex as much as any normal woman, probably more than some, but when the frequency is this high, it just loses its specialness for me. The anticipation, the build-up, the feeling of connecting on that intimate level, it's all kind of faded because it's always available, always expected, always part of the landscape. Plain and simple, sex at this volume has become almost meaningless to me in terms of its emotional or relational value. It's reached the point where I probably decline his advances 3 times more often than I initiate sex myself. We've had a couple of conversations about this, thankfully, and they haven't escalated into huge fights. It's been more of a calm acknowledgement from his side that, yeah, he just has a really, really high sex drive. But just stating that fact doesn't solve the underlying problem, which is the significant imbalance it creates and how it makes me feel, well, a bit worn down, pressured, and disconnected from the act itself. But the sex frequency isn't the only thing contributing to this feeling of being overwhelmed and desensitized. The other major factor is the sheer amount of time he spends at my apartment, which is pretty much every single day, and his tendency for constant physical presence and pushing for closeness. Now, I know how this might sound. What kind of girlfriend complains about her boyfriend wanting to be physically close or touch her? It sounds ungrateful, right? And at first, I didn't see it as a problem. But over these past 7 months, his constant physical closeness and frequent subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, sexual overtures have had a really unexpected and negative effect on me. I feel like I'm constantly on or preparing for something more. His habit of always being right next to me, always touching my arm or my leg, pulling me in for hugs that linger a bit too long, or having his hands constantly on me, makes it difficult to just relax and be in my own space. This creates a feeling of being saturated not just sexually, but with physical intimacy that always seems to have a sexual undertone or potential. Casual touches, simple hugs, cuddling on the couch without any expectation of escalation, those moments have lost their innocent comfort for me. I miss the times when a touch was just a touch, and snuggling was just snuggling. Now, even though seemingly simple acts feel loaded, like I'm implicitly agreeing to things going further, or that I'll have to gently, or not so gently, pull back. I like to wear comfortable clothes when I'm just relaxing at home, and I often feel a bit awkward or like I'm trying to create a boundary with my clothing when he's constantly in my physical space, pushing for more contact. I've been trying so hard to figure out how to talk about this without making him feel rejected, inadequate, or like I don't desire him or enjoy his touch. That's not how I feel at all, and it's not who I want to be in the relationship. My feelings are about overwhelming pressure, a loss of spontaneity and specialness, and a need for different kinds of intimacy. I tried talking about it recently, bringing up how I sometimes feel overwhelmed by the constant physical closeness and how I miss just being able to relax side by side without it feeling like a prelude to sex. I tried to explain that I love his affection, but I need it to be just affection sometimes. His reaction wasn't defensive, but I could tell he didn't fully grasp it. He said something like, "Oh, I thought you liked me touching you all the time," and I tried to clarify that I do like his touch, but not all the time and not always with the feeling that it's leading somewhere sexual. He didn't say much more right then, but I could feel this growing sense of incompatibility, this tension building between us. It feels like we're heading towards a fight about this, and I'm really dreading it. But the more I've thought about it since that conversation, the more I realize that the constant physical closeness and the relentless sexual frequency are intertwined. Just as the sheer volume of sex has made it lose its specialness, the constant physical presence and sexual undertones have made simple physical affection feel less special or more complicated. It's not that I'm not attracted to him, I find him handsome and physically appealing. It's that the novelty and anticipation are gone because of the constant exposure and pressure. I find myself appreciating the moments when we're just comfortably coexisting, not touching, or engaging in non-sexual physical affection because those moments feel rare and like a relief from the constant on-state. Our relationship feels oversaturated, both physically and sexually. There are still occasional genuinely wonderful, romantic nights where the sex is deeply connecting and feels amazing. But outside of those specific instances, I honestly just don't particularly care about having sex with him anymore. It's not that I don't enjoy it when we do, and yes, I usually climax if we go through with it. But the desire to initiate or even just enthusiastically participate has largely vanished for me. It often feels like a chore, something I feel obligated to do. My frequent refusals have also led to awkward moments where he'll start masturbating right there while I'm nearby, sometimes when I'm trying to wind down or fall asleep. It makes me incredibly uncomfortable, and I feel like I can't move or say anything, leaving me wide awake and feeling awkward. I never, ever thought I'd be in a position where too much sex and physical closeness could actually be bad for our intimacy and sex life. It sounds like a punchline, something you joke about. But here we are. The sheer quantity and constant availability have stripped away the quality, the excitement, and the feeling of it being a special, shared connection. This whole situation, the sex drive mismatch, the constant physical pressure, my feeling of being overwhelmed and desensitized, feels like it's escalating into a serious problem, something that could really damage our relationship if we don't address it head-on. The biggest challenge is, I have no idea how to talk to him about the full scope of this. How do I explain that I feel oversaturated, that both sex and constant physical closeness have lost some of their specialness for me because of the sheer volume and pressure, without making him feel unwanted, unattractive, or like I'm criticizing him? How do I bring up the awkwardness of the self-gratification moments? What in the world do I do? I love him very much, and I value our relationship, but this issue is creating a real distance and tension between us. Just to reiterate, I'm not complaining about having sex 4 to 5 times a week. For many couples, that's a perfectly healthy and enjoyable frequency, and honestly, I could probably adjust to that pace if the dynamic felt less pressured and more about mutual desire. My personal comfort zone is closer to 2 genuinely connecting times a week. The problem is that we're doing it much more than 5 times a week, even with my frequent refusals. And it's not like they're quickies. He has great stamina, so the sessions tend to be pretty long. It's genuinely a lot of physical and emotional effort for me some weeks, and sex, ideally, should never feel like work. It should be a source of joy, connection, and intimacy, not something that leaves you feeling drained and distant.